Hi everyone, I'm Monique Ruffin and welcome to my living room. I am here in Los Angeles, California, and I'm just going to do a video today about an article I just read and just continuing the conversation about women's health, reproductive rights, sex, sensuality, and politics. Oh, our favorite things all together, right? Exactly. So I just read an article at a website called townhall.com, a conservative blog. The title of the article was Fairness Fraud. And this article suggested that President Barack Obama wants to tax the wealthy in order to give more resources and funds to women on welfare, because that's fair, which is why they call it fairness fraud. So I just want to say that that's absolutely false. In the 90s, President Clinton passed welfare reform, which limits the amount of money women on welfare can receive, the amount of time they can be on welfare, and the amount of children that they can have while they're on welfare. It also requires women on welfare to go get job training, to go back to school in order to be prepared when their welfare benefits run out. So President Obama has absolutely no intention of taking money from the wealthy, taxing them more so that he can then give this money to women who are on welfare. What he does want to do, he wants to end the Bush tax cuts, which have been in place for over a decade now, I believe, and under the guise that the wealthy are job creators, as they like to say, job creators, and job creators help the economy, and it's sort of the trickle-down effect, which has not been happening lately because job creators have been creating jobs in places like India and the Philippines, and which isn't impacting our economy in a positive way. And while they are creating jobs overseas, they are getting benefits, tax breaks, and they pay less taxes than the middle class. They pay a less percentage of tax. So you would have someone like how they use Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett pays a less tax percentage than his secretary. So that's what they have been calling trickle-down economy. But President Obama has been attempting to fix this, and he hasn't done so thus far. The Bush tax cuts are still in place. I really have these dialogues and these conversations because I want us to understand how what goes on in Washington impacts our daily lives. And as women, we've seen recently conversations about contraception and abortion and, women's reproductive rights and, welfare and all of that. These are not just voices out in the wind or in a vacuum. The people who are having these conversations on the campaign trail will then, if they are elected, will begin to have those conversations, and they will influence legislation, which will affect us as women and everyday citizens, as men also. So for instance, recently President Barack Obama created the Consumer Protection Agency, and this agency regulates, monitors what the banks are doing and the loans that we can get. And so when we see people, like your checking account might be overdrawn for $2, but then you pay a $35 bounce check fee or overdraft fee, like they regulate things like that. These are things that impact us personally. This conversation about energy and the gas prices that are near $5. These are the things that are regulated in Washington, D.C. Education in our schools and the resources for our kids, regulated, created through legislation in Washington, D.C. I hear so many women say, I'm not political. I don't care about what's going on in Washington. Okay, well, guess what? When your insurance won't pay for your birth control pills or for a breast exam or for a pelvic exam, guess what? That's politics, and that happens in Washington, D.C. It's really important that we understand how we are being impacted by those we send to Washington. And right now, as it stands, I think we have 435 elected officials in the House of Representatives. 76 of them are women. We have 100 senators and 17 of them are women. So these are the people that influence policy, and not even half of them are women. And women outvote men by a huge percentage. So we are voting against our own causes. We're voting against our own issues when we send people to Washington, D.C., whether they be men or women, who are not legislating for issues that support women, so that we can then support ourselves, so that we can support our families, so that we then can, really support our children and our communities. And in the last few decades, we see a lot of conversations happening about, in other countries, people giving lots of money to educate women. It's like, what people understand is when women are educated, then communities and families do better. So it's important for us to understand our issues and what our needs are, and to begin to teach ourselves, to teach our daughters, to teach our sons, to demand that our needs be met, and to participate. We are not children. We do not need anyone to make decisions for us. We don't need the Catholic Church to make decisions for us. We don't need our religious leaders to make decisions for us. We can drive these conversations, and we can do our part to influence policy that will impact women in Washington, D.C., women from Washington, D.C. and into our homes. And one of the ways that we can do this is by having conversations about our sexuality, our sensuality, our reproductive needs, explaining and understanding for ourselves what happens when healthcare reform is being denied, what happens when it's limited, how that impacts us. Those are personal things for us. And what I've been saying is that, we don't talk about our issues out loud. Even amongst our friends, we're not talking. I talk to women every day who said, that they weren't taught how their bodies functioned and the biology of their body. They were just told that if you had sex, you were fast. And, they were just told that you don't want to be like that woman over there or that girl over there who's a slut and a whore and she's loose and she's too active with boys. But we're not taught that that's natural. It's natural for girls and boys to feel sexual desires towards one another. It doesn't make them whores or sluts or fast. It's natural. What's unnatural is for them not to have information so that they can make responsible choices, and so that they can truly take care of themselves when they make decisions to have sex, because people are going to have sex. That's just what happens. And oftentimes those people are teenagers. And whether we think it's right or not, they still need the information and the education. And so we have to begin to celebrate our sensuality, deal with our own sexual hang-ups as women, come out of the closet with what our desires are, and not be ashamed and not feel bad about what we want and who we are, and really embody ourselves in the simplest ways and the most complex ways. Things like one of the things that made me so happy yesterday, I was in tears when I saw Viola Davis on the red carpet. Beautiful green dress, gorgeous, short, kinky hair, looking like a gorgeous, embodied Black woman who owns herself. And she has said in the past that she had low self-esteem and she didn't believe that she deserved love. And, that's not who I saw on the red carpet yesterday. I saw a woman who felt sexy, who felt sensual, who felt beautiful. And even though she doesn't look like what our society says is gorgeous and desirable, she was owning it for herself. So as she embodies it, as she becomes it, as she knows that she's gorgeous and sexy and sensual, in her own knowing, we all feel it and we all see it. She magnetizes us to her. And every woman has the ability to do that, but we've got to own it first. And I'm in my own process with it, owning my sexuality, my sensuality, doing these videos, talking about it out loud, encouraging other women to do the same, and understanding that who we are has impact in our world. Every choice that we make, every decision that we make in our grocery store, at the gas pump, at the bank, is influenced by what goes on in Washington. The type of birth control pills we decide to use or birth control we use is impacted by Washington. So there's a lot going on here. There's a lot that we have to consider, and it begins with us understanding that whether we like politics or not, whether we claim that we are political or not, we are. It is the truth. We are political. What needs to happen is that we need to get educated and understand how political we are and how policies affect us. And so with that, I'm going to end it. I want to say congratulations to Viola. Even though she didn't win the Oscar, she looked stunning and just set such a huge example for what it means and what it can look like when you embody yourself as a woman. So thank you. You guys have a great day, and I'm going to go to yoga now. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.